Hey, what's up guys, it's me. This video is not by any means my tutorial for this, but this is just more or less a preliminary video to show you guys how I make my custom sprite. In this case I'm making a Darkrai because I'm wanting to be a Darkrai from now on rather than a Lucario, just because I think it's going to be fun. So now this process I use paint, and I use some of the same tools that I did before. So if you are not a patient person, do not go about this paint process the same way as I do. Yeah, I'm sure there are plenty of easier ways, I guess you could say, but this is just the way that I have found that I liked it. I like going about it. So basically, in every black and white ROM there are Pokemon sprites, overworld sprites, like they were in the Heart Gold Soul Silver games. Not all Pokemon are there. I believe most, if not all, first to fourth gen Pokemon are in there, just not all fifth gen. There are some though. Now what you have to do is you have to go into the ROM, extract the poke that you want, or the person that you want. Say if you want to play as N or Sharon or Bianca or whatever, so they are in there as well. So most Pokemon though, they have a 2-to-2 like picture thing. So basically you're just going to have to edit it, copy a couple pieces and stuff like that. So this is just sped up as fast as I had it. So basically what you want to do is you want to extract the original. Now what I do is I make sure the bottom of his foot, of the person's foot, that is where the bottom of my new sprite is going to be. And now another thing, you have to have this the same size as the original picture. I believe in this case it's like let me actually look what the size is before I tell you guys anything. The size for this normal sprite, the normal overworld sprite, this will be your walking sprite and your running sprite. It is size 32 by 1024, and it has to be that size. It cannot be any 1 pixel smaller, it cannot be 1 pixel bigger in any way. So it has to be that size. So you have to make sure it is that size before you even attempt to introduce it into the NARC file, or else it won't even get there. And like I said, if you guys do not understand this, this is not my my tutorial of this. This is just showing you how I make the sprite, because I will not be going over that in the tutorial itself. So I don't necessarily think you have to have it the same color green. I just always do, just in case. It just always seems like it's easier that way, and just to keep it the same color green as the original sprite was, the original person's sprite was. So that's about it for this. Just make sure it's the same size. I like to make sure that it is the same thing, and if you do end up going about making the same color, make sure that all the pixels that have to be that color, like as you saw, Darkrai was a little bit lighter green as his background, so you got to make sure all those lighter green pixels are changed to the darker green pixels. And it is very painstaking. It is very it is a very long process, but I believe it is very worthy in the end. And always make sure to double check your work, because you just do not want to mess things up. And yeah, so now I believe we are ready to save this thing. Come on, Cody. There we go. So like, again, easiest way is just to keep everything all in one folder, and so then you don't lose anything. So in this case we're going to call this folder Darkrai, just because obviously I'm making a Darkrai version. So we're just going to call it Darkrai 1, because I'm going to be making a couple other hacks, a couple other sprite hacks. It's going to say something about transparency or something like that, so don't worry about that. it's going to work just fine. Now we're going to go about using some of the same tools that we did last time, and plus another tool. So whenever I decide to get around to it, so okay, so I dragged the Darkrai folder over here. So, and I believe, okay, so now here we go. So what we're going to use is something called BWOE. I believe it's something Kazo War made, I believe. And yeah, so, but first we have to use Nitro Explorer 2 to extract a NARC file before we can even use it. So I'm just going to copy a blank version of my ROM, my black ROM, Pokemon Black ROM, and gonna copy it into the Darkrai folder. And again, easiest way to do this, keep everything all in one place. And yeah, so now we're going to load the ROM, and I'm doing this voiceover after because it's just, I don't know, I just felt like it. But now we're going to go to A04 and then 9, and we're going to extract 9. I accidentally clicked reinsert there. Whatever. So so we're going to extract 9, and again, like we did with the color hacking, we're going to put a NARC extension at the end of it. And yeah, so we don't need Nitro Explorer anymore at the moment, so that's what we're going to minimize that. Now we're going to open BWOE, we're going to open the NARC file, and then we're going to go down to 6. 6 is going to be your walking and running sprite, 7 is going to be your bike sprite, and 8 is going to be your whatchamacallit, surfing sprite, when you're on like the back of the little surfing dude thing. And in 9, 10, 11 are also the same for females, and there are a couple other ones that are just randomly in there, but I will go over those later. So now we're going to import the image into there of the 6 on the 6. So we're going to go, I believe I skipped over this completely, but you go to 6, then you press import image and import the image you just made. And then and then you just go about the same process that we did with the 4, take the NARC extension off of it, reinsert it with Nitro Explorer 2, and now we're going to go about testing this ROM to make sure that Darkrai works in here. So I'm going to load the ROM, going to load a backup memory, and wait for it to do its thing. So yeah, and like I said, this is just a preliminary video. I'm not expecting you guys to figure this out just by watching this. It is fairly complicated. It's a little bit complicated. I can't really say it's fairly complicated, but it's a little bit complicated. But as you see here, we got our Darkrai, and he's looking pretty badass. Yeah, so yeah, there we go. Let's go outside, and there we go. So now if you just put the 6 in, you will only be the desired thing while you're walking and running, not when you're on the bike, not when you're using HMs, not when you're healing. Those are separate ones that I will cover later. Alright, so that's it, and yeah, see ya.